Movies are always trying new things, new visual techniques, and new ways to tell stories. But every once in a while, a movie comes out that's so uniquely different from everything else that it takes decades for audiences to fully appreciate its greatness. Today, we're looking at 5 such movies. Movies that make you doubt that they were actually made in the year they were. Number 1, 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
If no one told me that this movie was made in 1968 when I first saw it, I would think it was made in 2001. It was one of the first movies to feature AI, and it did everything that movies about AI that have been made since do. A Space Odyssey is a masterpiece of a science fiction film that still feels futuristic today. It may not be a far-fetched to say that 2001 A Space Odyssey was the best sci-fi movie of the 20th century. Number 2, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Mr. Pilgrim! I'm Ramona's first evil ex-boyfriend.
What?
Released in 2010, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, directed by Edgar Wright, is a visual and auditory explosion that blends comic book aesthetics, video game references, and a quirky love story. The film's rapid editing, stylized action sequences, and a unique blend of on-screen text were innovative and unlike anything audiences have seen before. It's one of the most fast-paced movies that I have ever seen, and for the time when it was released in 2010, movies were quite slow for today's audiences that are used to more fast-paced content like from TikTok and Reels. This movie is a joyride. When it first came out though, it wasn't really a success. Almost no one saw it, flew under most people's radar. But since then, it has gained a huge fan following, which I myself am a part of. Like, this is one of the few movies that I can watch as many times I want and it never gets boring. Moving on at number 3, we have Jurassic Park, the original Jurassic Park. Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park hit theaters in 1993 and revolutionized the use of CGI in filmmaking. Even though it didn't use as much CGI as you would think, the realistic depiction of dinosaurs through a combination of animatronics and digital effects was groundbreaking at the time. The film's success demonstrated the potential of CGI to create lifelike creatures and environments, setting a new standard for visual effects in the industry. Even today, the original Jurassic Park remains the benchmark for quality special effects. And if you compare it to Jurassic World movies, I would argue that Jurassic Park felt a lot more realistic and a lot scarier, to be honest, because it was still grounded in reality. It didn't feel like these dinosaurs are some otherworldly, superhuman things. They felt like real walking animals because they were animatronics. And even the CGI focused more on making the dinosaurs believable rather than impressing the viewer. Number 4, Watchmen.
The world will look up and shout, "Save us." And I'll whisper, "No."
Zack Snyder's 2009 film Watchmen did superhero team-ups before it was cool. At the time, the only superhero movies you could think of were Iron Man, Hulk, Spider-Man, and a few others that were not that popular. All of these movies were very black and white. The characters were very black and white. There was a hero and a villain trying to destroy the world or the universe, and the hero ends up defeating the villain. Watchmen, however, featured a lot more complex characters that you can't really call heroes, but you can't call them villains either. Something that we see in contemporary superhero shows and movies like Invincible and The Boys. Watchmen received mixed reviews at its release, but now it's an absolute cult classic in the superhero genre. It even got a remake at HBO in 2019, and the show got really good reviews and audience ratings. And at number 5, we have Her.
How long before you're ready to date?
What do you mean?
I saw in your emails that you'd gone through a breakup.
Well, you're kind of nosy.
If you follow AI, you may have seen OpenAI's new voice model, but did you know that it's based on the movie Her, released in 2013? Her explored the interaction of technology and human emotions in a way that felt both futuristic and intimate. Her depicts a man, played by Joaquin Phoenix, who falls in love with an AI operating system that is much like OpenAI's new voice model, and it delves into themes of artificial intelligence, loneliness, and the nature of relationships. Although the future shown in Her was intended to be a dystopian one, we may see it come true sooner than we'll expect. And that's it for today. If you've never seen these movies before, I would highly recommend you check these out. A Space Odyssey and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World are unlike any movies you've ever seen before. And Jurassic Park brings back the classic CGI that focused more on realism rather than the spark. And Watchmen feels like exactly the kind of movie you're missing between the MCU and the DCEU. And Her warns us about the more nuanced dangers of AI that we don't get to see in sci-fi movies that commonly. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.